guys, welcome back to the Greenback Voyage podcast. I'm your host Shravan.
And I'm your host Joel.
And this week we thought we'd go a bit back. It's been a while since we did a podcast and talk about some things that have happened in the past 2 weeks. So I think let's kick it off. Today, I don't know if you saw it. I didn't live at the time, but Jeff Bezos and his other 3 crew members, they launched the Blue Origin rocket past the Kármán line. That was pretty nice. They landed the booster rocket, and all 4 of them landed safely in the ocean. So that was great to see.
Yeah, it wasn't actually the ocean. They landed on some desert.
Was it the desert? Okay.
Yeah, it was on the
terribly
ground.
Mistaken. Yeah, I only saw the launch, and then I had to go back to work, so I was like, I can't watch the rest of it.
Yeah, it was with I think it was with his brother and this female astronaut, and then one other person.
First female astronaut, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's like she was the first of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is interesting. Richard Branson obviously undercut him on this, to be the first billionaire to go to space. And make huge headlines. So, but it's great. I mean, who knows? Maybe Elon Musk could go on his next.
What do you determine as space? Because the FAA defines it as 50. I think it's 50 kilometers or 50 miles above the ground level, but the Kármán line is, I believe, 62 kilometers or miles. I keep forgetting the units. Above horizon or above ground level.
I mean, what's the FAA limit is around, in terms of feet, was it 300 feet or 250?
I don't exactly remember. I just remember Branson was below the Kármán line, but above the threshold for space, as defined by the FAA. But Bezos actually broke through the Kármán line, stayed there, and then came back down.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you reach a certain range in the atmosphere, that's considered space. But I'm not sure of the specific line.
Okay, because some people could perceive it as Kármán line, so there have been arguments on the internet that Branson didn't really go into space. He just went into the outer layers of the Earth. So,
yeah, I think the Kármán line is probably the correct one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just searched it up. It's 100 kilometers, so it's 62 miles above sea level. So
I knew there was a 62 somewhere.
Yeah, it's what the U.S. military and NASA define as space.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of odd that the FAA defines it differently than at NASA.
Yeah, it's usually the 50 mile and it's between 50 miles and 62 miles. There's different definitions of where space is, but it's in that range.
Yeah. So, but regardless,
it's not like they're going to orbit or anything, right? It's just free fall.
Yeah. Regardless, it was great to see both of them succeed. In their missions. And it was nice to see both of them kind of congratulating each other. It's not really, I guess you'd say, a competition between them, which makes sense.
I think they know it's a competition.
I mean, are they really competitors against each other?
Billionaires with big egos, fighting it out for headlines.
Okay, I guess that is true in terms of media relations and PR, but in terms of business model, are they really that similar? Because other than launching stuff into space, I think every other part of their business model is different, including the fact of how they actually launch their vehicles into space.
Yeah, I mean, I think with them in person going in their rockets, right? It's trying to prove the validity of the rocket, right? It's pretty much saying if I'm able to go on this rocket, it's safe enough for anyone else, right? I'm risking my life to go on this creation in my company, and so if I'm doing it, then obviously you can, and that's what they're trying to prove, right? But yeah, I mean, the business model for both of them is space tourism, right? they're not doing any transportation for NASA or ESA. They're not doing ISS missions like SpaceX. It's just pure tourism. Like, if you're rich enough and you want to book a seat, then go on it. That's it. So it's both business model. Both business model is space tourism, and both billionaires are proving that their companies are safe for that. And that's pretty much it, right?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, because there have been, I mean, regardless of what the CEOs say, both Branson and Bezos think it's a $1 trillion market by 2040.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will ever get up there that fast.
That's a bit too steep, you know. I don't think it's that
especially considering the fact that I think space tourism, it'll take a while for the cost to decrease.
Yeah.
It was the same with airplanes. Like, it took around 50 years for us to transition from warplanes to commercial planes.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, they only had like first class for like such a long time, right, until they introduced economy and all that.
Right.
So I think it'll definitely take a while before.
Yeah.
The middle
even
class
if like
people are there.
Yeah, even like with the creation of the airplane, right? It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really considered as something for tourism. It was taking one person from point A to point B, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one wanted to like tour the air, right? It was just, how do I get from this place to this place fast? And what you see with Elon Musk and SpaceX, with their Starship, they're actually trying to minimize the time to get from one place to another place. And you can see like in their advertisements, they showed like going from like Vancouver to Tokyo in like 30 minutes, right? So they're doing a completely different business model. They're not space tourism. They're actually going to try to provide transportation as fast as possible. Like, you can go from one side of the world to another side in like 30 minutes or under an hour. And I think that business model will sustain, because I don't think people really care about tourism. They just want to get from one place to another place faster and faster, and that will continue to evolve. So that business model actually has a better foothold than space tourism. I think these guys are very optimistic about how far this space tourism will grow.
Yeah, because the thing I have an issue with is these seats are going to cost anywhere between $250,000 to, what was it, that hedge fund guy paid, I think, $28 million for his son to go.
Yeah, it was a lottery, or not. It wasn't a lottery. It was an auction.
It wasn't a lottery. It's a bid. Yeah. So
yeah, it was an auction.
I mean, I don't think many people have that type of money to say, okay, I have $250,000 to spare. Let's go. Even the people who are like pretty wealthy, like in the 10 million to 20 million range, like $500,000 is a lot of money. It's
Yeah.
not something small. And yeah, considering that also, most people who are wealthy, one, they have their own lives to take care of, and still going to space is risky, even
Right.
with the successful missions. I mean, Virgin Galactic had that accident in 2012 or 2014 with that pilot that pushed back the program like 4 or 5 years. NASA had the Challenger accident that completely wiped away their space program. So like one incident can change the entire market itself.
Right.
And that's the issue that they have right now. So that's why I consider it to be very optimistic for it to be a $1 trillion market. Yeah, but that's my opinion on that.
Like, yeah, that's definitely like valid point. Even if these rockets are getting like safer, right? You have these abort systems, right? Like with SpaceX, they have this Dragon capsule, the version 2. It actually like has these boosters called Draco boosters, and if the the booster rocket, if it like starts to fail, this capsule will like eject itself. So there are like many safety features, and even in like Blue Origin, I think they have safety features with abort systems and things like that. But even if it comes to that, like where a in a tourism incident that they have to use the abort system, there's gonna be fear. Like even if no one dies and it gets close to like a big accident happening, that fear enough will like push the progress made so many years behind.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, we've seen how Samsung's been hit with their phones catching fire.
right, the
Their
Note
Note
8.
phones. Yeah, and that's a small incident. I mean, this is like lives we're talking about that people are
Right.
risking, and
Yeah.
if one small incident occurs, that it wipes out billions of dollars
Mhm.
of market cap.
Yeah, it's definitely it's too early, and to predict like a 1 trillion market cap, that's like borderline nonsense, to be honest.
Yeah.
In like such a short time. I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to achieve that, but like 4 years, like come on, no, there's no way.
Yeah. I mean, what Elon Musk is doing is different. I think that industry could at one point be $1 trillion market because,
Yeah, easily.
I mean, his goal is to colonize Mars or the moon, whichever one first, I guess.
I think most
And-
likely Mars.
Yeah. I mean, he might just go to the moon first just for the heck of it and then go after Mars. But that
Yeah,
industry.
They're trying to like establish the like like in Texas it's called Starbase. It's like this sci-fi little location. They might do like a
No.
moon base and then Mars base and like
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they honestly.
in terms of being like habitable, I think he's gonna try to go to Mars. Like he's been like tweeting about how he wants to nuke the polar caps and like start global warming on Mars. So yeah, he's trying to aim for Mars, and he actually like put I think like a deadline. Like he said that they will be able to go to Mars in like 10 years. So
I don't know about the deadline for that because
he's making great progress on
he
the
is,
Starship.
no doubt. But the timelines he's
They're about to launch it
set-
actually. Did you see
The
the static
timelines-
fire test?
Yeah, I've seen those. And I'm not saying that what he's done is not impressive. It's very impressive, considering where we were like 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Like, this is ridiculous. Just think that a private
Yeah.
organization can overtake NASA, or has the chance to overtake NASA.
Hey, it's
on
already
their own.
there.
I mean, I think NASA's still ahead in their technology.
I wouldn't say they're ahead, to be honest.
I
they
think
can't-
they still are.
I mean, they're contracting SpaceX for all the ISS missions.
They are.
So
They are.
if
But
they're ahead in technology, they would do it themselves.
at the same time, I still think NASA still just holds that small edge over SpaceX just for now. If SpaceX can get to Mars and provide more data than what NASA has done in 20 years, then yeah, there will be some serious issues with NASA. That's for sure. And what their future
definitely.
is.
Yeah. They definitely. I mean, obviously they sent rovers and they have so much data, so much research. Maybe even smarter scientists because they were able to accomplish that. So yeah, they
Mhm.
definitely have that edge. But I would like disagree on the rocket technology. I think SpaceX totally, defeats any other rocket out there with their current, even like the Falcon 9 and the Falcon 9 Heavy is just, it's just too superior. I mean, everyone's contracting them for all the missions, so
Yeah.
we just have to see if the Starship will be able to do interplanetary with Mars.
Yeah. But I guess while we're on the subject of talking about Elon Musk, we can go to Tesla. That's had a rough year so far for 2021, considering where they were for 2020.
Yeah,
I think their stock
investors
is
are-
down. Their stock is down at least 20% since January, and there've been hopeful signs for recovery, but it's been in that range from about $550 to $650.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you think Bitcoin has a part to do with that? I mean, they only own they did own about $1 billion in Bitcoin, which is now considerably less. But
I don't think investors care that much about the Bitcoin. It's just the company was just too overvalued. I mean, that's like the basic reason, right?
Mhm.
It was just too overbought. Everyone was in it. And at one point, you can't just keep going up and up, right? You have to have a steep correction, and that's what we saw. The valuation is just, having like triple digit over 500 P ratio, and I'm just saying basic valuation metrics, right? That's just I mean that's just borderline insane, right? Warren
next
Buffett's like
quarter
out there.
next quarter they're probably not even going to be profitable. Now that I
Right,
think
so
about
like
it.
going back to Bitcoin, right? The losses that they suffered with the recent correction in the crypto market is actually has wiped out the profit that they've made. So when they report this, it's not going to look good. I mean, their earnings reports are coming out, right? Earnings season's here.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bitcoin is continuing to fall, right? It broke the 300K support level, is going into 20s.
30K.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 30K support level. That's where a lot of people were buying, and it broke down. So I expect to see further selling pressure. It's the whole market cap for crypto sitting at about 1.2 right now, 1.2 trillion. I expect it to fall easily below 1 trillion in the coming few weeks. So it's Tesla. It's not looking good for them for their earnings report. I think there's going to be some steep misses.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think they'll sell their position though, but they'll have some steep
Yeah, it'll be tough
losses.
for them, especially with the news from Neo, and I think you can talk more about it than I can because you're heavily involved with Neo. But the Chinese government, from what I've heard, is basically throwing their weight at Neo.
Yeah, look, so 2 years ago when Neo was about to go bankrupt, the CCP actually bailed them out, and because after their bailout, the CCP actually owns 25% of Neo. So wrap that around your head. So this government owns 25% of Neo, right? That's actually concerning a bit, and also it could be viewed as a good thing, right? Because now, like you said, they're throwing everything in Neo because I think they believe that Neo could be the top company in China, and also Neo is completely blasting through the numbers. I mean, if you look at their delivery sales, even like June, they were triple digit growth. So they're growing faster than Tesla, way faster than Tesla, and they're also making plans to expand to Europe. So UK, Norway, they're starting to expand, and the CEO has actually said that in about 2 years they'll have a good footprint in Europe. In for the US, I think it's going to take a longer time to get to the States, but it's really good news that they're expanding in Europe, and they're also growing way faster than Tesla. And both of them are going to report earnings in the coming weeks, and like we said, Tesla is not looking good for them, and Neo is looking great for them. So if Tesla, doesn't report well and Neo does good, even if they report on forecasts, or if they exceed, and that's what I think is going to happen, they will have a great run, and they will benefit. So I'm very optimistic on Neo right now, and that's all I say.
I see two positives in Neo. Not for the US. I think it will take a long time before Neo can gain something in the US, and if anything, it'll be a lot like Volkswagen. Like you'll see it here and there, but it won't be like the dominant thing like Ford is doing or Tesla. But for Europe, I think Neo has a great chance there for two reasons. One is, I think the EU backed a bill that says by 2030 or 2040, I believe, all cars that are sold by manufacturers have to be EV. And by 2050, their goal is that all the cars, or most of the cars on the road, at least 90%, are electric vehicle. Yeah, so that's insane. So that's one good thing. Another one, this is sort of indirectly correlating with, I guess, global warming and climate change, but I don't know if you've seen the news in Germany, where the west part of Germany has had significant flooding. It's been ridiculous. Like houses have literally been lifted off from the grounds and just flowing down the roads like it's nothing. And this is, I guess, not come at a great time for Germany's current chancellor. because they are having an election right now. And yeah, so most likely the side of climate change is gonna look more favorably towards voters right now, and that could pose a significant challenge for German automakers. Even though, Volkswagen, I think, is committed for electric vehicles, they've, discontinued the Passat, which is very shocking in the US. I don't think that's more for gas issues. I think that's more for sedan issues. But yeah, they've discontinued that, and they're focusing mainly on EVs. But Mercedes and BMW, on the other hand, I think those are NIO's main competitors, because the luxury style that NIO has is, I believe, very comparable to what Mercedes and BMW might offer. And BMW, they have their i8, I believe, and
that's more like a coupe, right? The i8.
Yeah, but that's like the only legit EV car that they have.
And they have a bunch of hybrids, right?
Yeah, but nothing that screams electric vehicle like the i8. And Mercedes, I think they have some prototypes, but they're not looking, or they haven't said anything about, oh, we're gonna push for EVs in the next 5-10 years like other manufacturers. Right. So yeah, if that election goes the way most voters are thinking right now, and it goes for climate change, I expect some significant change in the European market for NIO in the coming future.
I mean, I don't know much about German politics, but I know like Angela Merkel is like pretty conservative.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know her views on climate change. They've stayed in the Paris Climate Accord, so but yeah, this could actually put a little bit of pressure on her. They're also seeing a rise in COVID as well, like many other countries, even us, right, with the Delta variant cases rise. So yeah, it could put a good amount of pressure on the German chancellor.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think in terms of futuristic stuff, that's all we have. Actually, no. There is one more thing. It's not really a futuristic thing, but it's more of a surprising move by Netflix. So we can get into the earnings a bit later, but they recently hired a former executive, Mike Verdu, who was with Facebook for the Oculus project and was with EA for, like Plants vs. Zombies and Sims and that type of stuff. So he was like one of the original creators of those games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Netflix has...
Did they like poach him or something? Or
I mean, that's what it looks like, because we all thought Oculus was going to pop off, and for him to switch into this new role as vice president of game development at Netflix either says that Netflix is giving him full reins of the gaming development, or he sees something about Netflix in the future.
Netflix already has the user base, so let's say like they start to release like VR shows or VR games, like they could even release their own VR headset, right?
I think it'll be more like choices. Like you can make choices within a TV show or a movie.
Wasn't there like this one?
There was like
show,
a trial run of that. I remember.
There was this one show I forgot. It's like a video game show. I forgot the name. I think it starts with a B. It was kind of like a Black Mirror special. It was kind of like a movie.
Okay. I think exactly I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I remember Netflix did try to do something like that, and it didn't.
It was pretty intriguing. Like I did it multiple times.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well with the whole user base, but yeah, if they include it with like VR or something, and they push that out, I mean,
yeah, that would
be ridiculous. That would push them well ahead of any of their competitors right now.
Yeah,
because right now Netflix, I mean, it's kind of hit its peak, if we're being honest.
Yeah, definitely in the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more they can really do.
that's like the same for a lot of like Facebook is almost saturated. So a lot of these, companies are becoming very saturated in terms of customer acquisition. So they're trying to like milk their existing user base, right? Like with Facebook, they're trying to monetize their platforms. Netflix is continuing to raise their subscription costs, and looks like this new venture will actually, I think it could be successful.
Yeah.
They could, even partner up with some VR company, or even create their own in-house VR, and make like another additional subscription for games. So that actually shows promise for Netflix.
Yep. You know what didn't show promise for Netflix? Their earnings.
Yeah, they missed.
Like, yeah. And usually with Netflix, they like to perceive themselves as very conservative when it comes to analyst estimates, so that they beat it by a lot when the actual results come out. But yeah, this time they drastically failed.
Yeah. I mean, coming off from a COVID year where they had a boom, it's we kind of have to cut them a bit slack for some misses.
Yeah, but considering that Disney is just ridiculous right now, and it's just
I mean, Disney came like recently, right? And so they're kind of seeing the boom.
They're almost at Netflix's level.
Yeah,
so if Disney can still rise like that, then I feel like Netflix should still have at least some growth here or there.
Yeah, that maybe it's because like the MCU is releasing a lot of these shows, and like the Loki show, the WandaVision were hits. I mean, I've never seen any other show that gained this much popularity across social media platforms.
Yeah, Loki was insane.
Yeah, so Netflix didn't make show. Like, I guess like Stranger Things was incredibly popular.
Yeah, but that was so long ago. Like House of Cards, Stranger Things, those were the moves back then. But there's not really a Netflix show you can say right now that like comes to your mind.
Yeah, right now, like the majority of the shows, they're just buying rights to and streaming it on their platform. They're not really creating a lot of original hit shows, right? But Disney, on the other hand, they are garnering so much hype.
I mean, they are creating their original shows and movies. It's just like
but it's not gaining as much hype, right?
Yeah, it's not like an instant hit where people will remember for years.
Right, and they're also not producing movies, right? So Disney, the Black Widow movie generated like 80 million on opening weekend on Disney Plus alone. So not counting for theaters.
Yeah, and then 60 million in theaters, which is insane.
Right. Yeah, so like $30 for that movie. I mean, a lot of people bought it. I mean, so their business model it has been proven. So I won't be surprised if the next movie they release on Disney Plus as well. Like, what's the next one? Doctor Strange or Spider-Man?
Oh, I forgot, man.
I think it's Spider-Man. Yeah.
I don't think it's Spider-Man. They would release another Spider-Man already?
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man 3 is coming out.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know? It's called No Way
No,
Home.
I know it's coming out, but I thought it was like later in the year. I didn't think it was right now.
I think it's either it's in Thanksgiving or actually I think Doctor Strange comes first. I'm not
that's what I would assume.
Both movies are garnering a lot of hype just because of the Loki show. I don't want to spoil anything, but the ending was just insane, and it's kind of like setting up
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's setting up the next phase for it, right? So there's so much hype for the movies, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing. $30 movie premiere access, and it should definitely, they should definitely get good earnings from that. And there's like 10 movies coming out, and plus shows as well, in the next 2 years. So Disney is well positioned for their streaming business to grow incredibly well.
Yeah, it's crazy what Disney has done in the past 2 years. I wouldn't have expected it from them. I still think they're overvalued, by the way. But what they've achieved...
it's like when Microsoft and Satya, how they transitioned. It's kind of like the same thing we've seen with Disney, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it is, in a way. I mean, they did get lucky with how they released their content.
COVID also helped, right? So
yeah, so it was like late 2019. That's when they released, and then 2020 stuff happened.
Right.
and they just
I think it
profited off that.
was it late 2020, right?
No, late 2019. That's when they
Had Disney
That's
Plus.
when that's when Disney Plus
Oh.
came live.
Oh, okay. I see.
But yeah, I guess some other earnings we need to talk about. Intel is coming up soon. That's one I'm really interested in.
You're a proponent of Intel, right? You're very
I'm
bullish on
not.
the company.
I'm bullish on the company. I hope their new CEO is fitting in well. But yeah, I think they can do really well in the future. I think AMD might have the same sort of issues as Intel coming up. I'm not saying they will, but that's usually like the kind of trend that's happening. A company will do well for 3-4 years, and then another company will just find something and then just run up as well. So it's just kind of switching back and forth. But Intel is one I'm looking at. I'm also gonna look at Honeywell and see how their airline sector is doing, because I know was it United that bought a load of planes like a couple weeks ago? Yeah, or Boeing or Airbus, they bought like an insane amount of planes. But I want to see how Honeywell does, and just see if their revenue starts to increase, because if it does, then that does kind of show that the economy is starting to get back on track. So yeah, those two I'm really looking
At least
out
the
for
travel
this
part
week.
of the economy, right?
Yeah, at least the travel part, which means more people are confident in the future of not really the economy, but the state of the world.
Yeah. I mean, I think like most people are just fed up with COVID. Even I don't think the Delta variant really scares anyone.
No, because everyone has the vaccine, and
yeah, and people
I
just
mean,
want to go back to normal life.
yeah, we've had, what was it, 2 months of freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down here in Florida right now. I can tell you with the fact, no one is wearing a mask. No one. Even though I think Florida is the top 5 rising cases.
Right now,
no one is still wearing.
Yeah,
no one is still wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So, I am here and there, but other people are just like, they're just taking it off.
Yeah, I mean, I keep my mask like on me just in case, but 90% of the time when I'm out, like indoors as well in restaurants, I don't actually wear a mask.
Yeah.
I just believe like at this point, I mean, I don't want to blame like the news media, but they're just like pushing out these headlines to just get clicks, right? That's how they make their money, right?
Yeah.
They're
obviously.
just kind of fear mongering a bit with the Delta variant news. But if you look at like the mortality rates, it's not that high. It's like very low. So they're just doing this for clicks, you know. So
Yeah.
we are all vaccinated. It works. So I don't think anyone has to worry that much anymore.
Actually, one more company I wanted to mention was Coca-Cola. If their business does well as well, yeah, that definitely means the economy is doing well.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
Pepsi did well in their earnings, so I assume Coca-Cola would hopefully do well.
yeah, they go like hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they should benefit too. But let's wrap it up with some outlooks for the earnings season that's coming up. I think tech will do pretty well as always. Apple it's at 150, right? I think they can push to 160 in the coming weeks. And as for me, like I'm watching out for Palantir and Neo. Neo with their, I want to see how much the deliveries that they did for the quarter. I believe that they're going to break some records. And as for Palantir, I think they're very close to becoming profitable. My only concern is their stock-based compensation. It's still continuing to be very high. Obviously, like Alex Karp was like the highest paid CEO actually in like 2020, I think. He got like a $1 billion paycheck. So yeah, I don't want to. I'm just a bit concerned about that. But if they turn out to be profitable, that's going to be a good sign for Palantir, because once companies turn profitable, they usually have good growth in the following years. So it's a very big milestone for them, right? So maybe in the quarter they won't be, but in the whole year, the fiscal year, I think they should be profitable, and going on to 2022, they should have a good momentum.
All right, sounds good. I guess that wraps it up for this week. Thank you all for listening in. We hope that you guys continue to listen to our podcast. Please make sure to follow us on Spotify or YouTube, and we will see you guys next time.